Hey guys, my name is Brandon and welcome to or welcome back to my YouTube channel. If you like what you see in here, you're more than welcome to hit the subscribe button so you stay notified every time I upload a new video. Okay, let's get straight on with today's video. Hey everyone and welcome back to Is That Brandon. So in today's video I'm going to be doing a video about tennis. Now I've not spoken about tennis at all, I don't think, on any of my videos, but I just basically came to a realisation that it is probably one of, if not my most done hobby. Obviously there's a lot of things I do enjoy, there's a lot of, content I like making and places I like going to, but in terms of like a skill or something that I've done since I was a very young individual, it's something that I've absolutely loved. And whether or not I play 7 times a week or once every 2 months, being able to play the game and understand the rules is just something that I will be able to do. Like, you could literally give me a tennis racket, we could go off to Spain next week and I'd still be able to play tennis on a different surface. It's just that it's muscle memory. Like, I know how to walk, unless I was in some sort of accident where I'd have to teach myself how to re-walk again. I will never not know how to play tennis. It's just constantly getting better. The people you're playing against, the people that the people that you're playing against, kind of like learning off of them, what your strengths are and what your weaknesses are. And then obviously the better the player that you play, the better your tennis kind of seems to become, because I've learned that over the years. The better players, or the better techniques that people have within the actual game, it makes me play better. Whereas if it's somebody that I kind of feel sorry for, or someone that's kind of new to the game, like a bit of a beginner, for some reason my tennis changes and I end up playing like a beginner. So yeah, that's just kind of a little insight as to kind of me, my tennis, my life. Then when I was younger, I was part of 3 different tennis clubs. I had coaching, group sessions. I actually ended up being kind of like a volunteer coach as well, kind of to complete my Duke of Edinburgh and my bronze, but also I was there teaching young people, assisting, shadowing the coach, and then I was also helping young people as well, little kids. So yeah, it was quite interesting, being there as like a volunteer, seeing how it would be to be a tennis teacher or a tennis coach, how to deal with people, how to help people improve, how to make sure they hold the racket properly and things like that. So I was very, very involved with that when I was younger, all different summer camps, social camps, things like that. Whether I was playing the tennis or I was teaching or shadowing the tennis, I was involved a lot basically. So yeah, I did do a lot of competitions as well, a lot of LTA competitions. I did want to be a tennis player one day. I think as of right now, because I'm almost 30, I've gone over my peak. I'm probably the best that I'm going to be as right now. I potentially could get better, but I think it's a bit too late now for me to do things like Wimbledon or join a competition or things like that. But I am very passionate about tennis. I applied to become like a ball boy just to kind of work my way in that way. Didn't end up doing it because I just decided against doing that. I thought, actually, I want to be the main centre of attention on the main court. I don't want to kind of just be a ball boy, because yeah, it could have been an easy route into becoming a tennis player, but it'd have been a bit of a weird way to do that. I wasn't really feeling that. And I think at that point, I think I had GCSEs or A-levels or whatever I was doing at that point as well, because I think the ball boys are like between 14 and 16 or 14 and 17 or whatever it was. So I'm not sure the whole reason why I dropped out. I think the amount of training that needed to go into it, the fact that I was constantly getting things wrong, and I was constantly, while I was doing it, thinking, wish I could just be the tennis player, So yeah, I think the fact that I had that negative energy towards being a ball boy made me kind of just distance myself from that. But yeah, in terms of tennis, yeah, I used to do a lot of competitions. Mainly my dad used to take me to places. Either I'd play at my club and they would be the visitor for me, or we would drive down to the person's club that I'm playing against, or even at the park. Sometimes there were matches where people were in the same area and they'd just say, oh, well, do you fancy playing at the park? Like, we can, play a proper match at the park. Secluded courts, gates, fencing, so it was all protected. But yeah, so there was a lot of variations of tennis that I was involved in, whether it was competitive, fun, social. I don't really have any photos and videos of me playing tennis from those years because I wasn't really a content creator. I think that's the interesting thing as of now. I've kind of tried to blend sports, content, and all of my other interests together, so I'm kind of documenting as I'm kind of progressing on in my life. But yeah, again, I've taken like a few photos. I think I'd like to do some sort of like, you know, documenting my like sports journey or like fitness journey or something like that, or not have a tennis account but like post more tennis content basically. So yeah, I might do that at some point as well. But anyway, what I did is I took a screenshot of some little web pages, links and things like that. It just was called common questions about tennis, or yeah, common questions relating to tennis. So I took a screenshot of some of the good ones that I found. So I will answer these ones as honestly and openly as possible, and yeah, then I'll obviously just, you know, talk about tennis as a whole and kind of what I'm doing now with tennis. And you know, there's so many ideas that I've got in my head to do with sports or fitness or content. So I think I could utilize my hobby of tennis to turn it into something educational or inspirational. So yeah, watch this space. Nothing's coming anytime soon, and it probably won't be for a while, but I think I just need to sit down, think about what I'm good at and how I can get something out there to share with others. So yeah, let's have a look at some of the questions. So the first question is, how is the score kept in tennis? So I think it's very easy. It's a very traditional, very everywhere you go, the tennis rules are exactly the same. It's not like pool where you have like different variations of the rules. You can move the white ball, you can't move the white ball. So with tennis, it is literally 4 points make up a game. So they do it in 15s. So it'll be servers score first. So if I'm serving and you're the receiver and I win the first point, it's 15 love, 30 love, 40 love, game. So that's it. 15, 30, 40 game is the 4 point structure that the game follows. Obviously, if I win the first point, 15 love, and then you as the receiver win the second point, that's 15 all. And obviously if you get to 40 all, which they call juice, you then have to play 2 points and win both of those 2 points in order to get the game. So if it was juice, my serve, I win the first point, advantage to me. If I win the second point, that's game. But if I lose that second point, it goes back to juice again, and then again it's then up to anyone to be able to win two clear points at the same time. So it's a very simple game. I think in terms of competitions, it used to be the best of 3 sets. So a set is 6 games, so 6 lots of 50, 30, 40 game. So best of 3 sets means you need to win 12 games in a row, or at least 12 games to win that. And obviously with Wimbledon, it would usually be the best of 5. So the best of 5, lots of 6 games, so they'd need to win 18 games. There'd be at least a minimum of 18 games to play to win the 3 sets, or sometimes it'll go like 2 sets all and then it's 3-2 in sets, so that doesn't matter. But in the actual game, if it gets to juice, you need to win by those 2 clear points. Again, like I just went on to, how do you win a set in tennis? So you basically just need to win 6-4, 6-3, 6-2, 6-1, 6 love. If it gets to 5 all, again you have to win by 2 clear games. But again, depending on what sort of competition you're doing, sometimes they might just say whoever gets to 6 first will win, so you could win on 6-5. But with most traditional or just competitions, yeah, if you 5 all, someone's got to go 6-5, 7-5, or 6-5, 6 all, and then you play a tie break at 6 all. So it doesn't go on forever. You just either need to win by the 2 clear points or get to 6 all, and you end up playing a tie break anyway. So I think if you were to have a tie break in the first set, it's up to 7 points. If you have a tie break in the second set, it's 10 points. And then obviously there wouldn't be a tie break in the third set, but I presume that would just be 10 points as well. Another question, why do they say love in tennis? So love just means 0. Apparently it comes from the French language, so love just sounds a bit more French. And they also say online that it sounds like the French word for egg, which is l'œuf, because 0 looks a bit like an egg. And the Oxford Dictionary also states that it is adapted from the phrase love of the game, which indicates that someone has a pure love of the game of tennis as opposed to wanting to actually win the money. So I think those people that are professional tennis players now win so much money, I think they just play the game because they enjoy the game, and that's kind of just like a bonus. Obviously, I think if you win your first competition and you've never seen that sort of money before, you will probably be playing the game for the money. But I think once you've played so many games and you go, it's just another million, it's like, but I actually enjoy playing the tennis, and you end up getting better. I think the more money there is to play for, the better you end up becoming at tennis. So yeah, like I said, whether you have a good competitor or a good amount of money or good something to aim for, it ends up making you play a lot better. Why is it called Deuce? Again, probably a French thing. It says, when players have scored 3 points each, the score is 40 all. However, in these circumstances, like I said, the player must win by the 2 clear points. And then whichever side or player wins that second point on the advantage ends up winning that game. And it could be going backwards and forwards from deuce to advantage. So yeah, it's one of those things that even, for example, for me, for example, at the social sessions that I play at my local club, if we do get to a deuce, I think because there are so many people that are usually waiting to play matches, we do a sudden death deuce. So it's 40-40, which is sudden death deuce, and whoever wins the next point ends up just winning the game rather than the whole 2-point situation. I think sometimes we also do it that the first point is the advantage deuce bit, and if we end up going back to a deuce for a second time, then it becomes sudden death as well. So depending on who's facilitating the session, it could be a slight of one of the 2 different rules of that. What is a time violation in tennis? So again, for the social sessions and for non-competitive stuff, I don't think there is that sort of thing. Unlike, chess, for example, you have that little machine that tells you how long each player's taken to play, and if you run out of time, you lose. With tennis, there isn't really that unless it's like competitive. So it says here, players usually have 20 seconds or 25 seconds professional between the end of the previous point and the delivery of the first serve, 90 seconds to change courts between games, and 2 minutes to change sides between sets. There is a shot clock that is controlled by the umpire. Players are expected to play at the server's pace and be ready to receive when the server is ready to serve. And there sometimes can be a point of conflict if players want to play quickly. Others like to be more deliberate and methodical. In professional tennis, if a player exceeds the time limit, they will receive an initial warning with any subsequent violations resulting in points being deducted. So basically, with professional tennis, if the server's ready to serve and you're just sitting there eating a banana, that's one, not very good sportsmanship, but also you should be on the court ready because the server's ready to serve, and obviously you're delaying the time of the game. If it's the receiver that's ready and the server's having a break, that's fine because you play at their pace. So actually you could then come off quickly, grab a drink or grab a snack or whatever, because it's the pace of the server in which you go by, basically. So yeah, if the server's ready, everyone else on the court, whether it's doubles or singles, should be ready to play. What are the different types of tennis courts that you can play on? So there are 4 main surfaces. So you've got grass, you've got clay, you've got carpet, and you've got hard. So grass could either be artificial grass or like kind of football pitch grass. Clay is usually the orange. Again, you can get artificial clay, which kind of gives you that sliding ability, and it could usually be like an orangey, browny kind of texture, almost like sand, basically. Carpet is, again, very rough flooring. I've not really seen much rough tennis court like material, but it's kind of like the so you're shaving something, it's kind of like with that the shaver type cleaning thing. And then obviously hard courts, usually blue or green, basically like a almost like basketball court type courts. You usually have all the lines very clear. The only thing about those courts, as opposed to something like clay, for example, is if the ball goes out, you have to trust the judgment on whoever's called it. Whereas with clay, you can see wherever the ball bounces, it will tell you straight away whether that ball is in or out. How long is a tennis match? So averagely for me, if I'm playing a 3-set match, it could be 1.5 hours, 2 hours. Like I said, it depends who I'm playing against. I think for me as well, when I'm kind of losing, it actually makes me play better. So every single game I think I've played against certain people, I will always lose the first set. I will always win the second set. I end up in a tie break and I either come out on top because I've played well and I've just had that confidence of going from being the loser to actually becoming the winner, or I'll get very close to winning, something will happen and then I'll end up losing. So I remember I've had 2 circumstances of that. So there was once a competition I played, I don't know who it was, don't know where it was, and I think it was just my dad and that person's parents supporting. Obviously there was other people playing matches on all the other courts as well, but I remember playing my match, I was 5-1 up in a set, and I think I'd already won the first set, so I was however much up in the first set. Second set I was 5-1 up. I just needed one game to win. I twisted my ankle, so I don't know what I did, but it just went funny, so I couldn't really walk properly, let alone run, and I ended up losing 5-2, 5-3, 5-4, 5-all. He went up 6-5, he won 7-5, and then he won the tiebreak because I ended up having to pull out of that, or I think I either pulled out or I just ended up losing every single point. But either way, that was an awful match because I'd won that first set 6 however many, and I was all I needed to do was win 4 points. One game, 4 points, that's all I needed. And like I said, because of my injury, I physically couldn't move. So no matter how much my dad was moaning at me, run for the ball and this is it, I'm like, Dad, I physically can't do it. There's something wrong with my ankle. So yeah, I had to pull out of that, ended up spraining my ankle or whatever else happened, not too sure. But I took a bit of a break from that, from tennis because of that. But yeah, straight back in, and you know, I don't know if that was the guy that I ended up beating the following time or if that was someone different, but again, I had a situation where I played a match against someone, again, I was close to losing, close to winning, and then he ended up taking control of the game and beating me. 2 weeks later, I played the same guy again, beat him 6-love, 6-2. So I think it was just the fact of, because I knew the way that this guy would play the game, I knew how to outplay him, like whether it was short shots or long shots or drop shots or whatever it was. And then as of more recently, I think this was last year, so I was playing a game at my local club just for a bit of fun, one of the like club matches or whatever. And again, playing this guy, older guy, very friendly, very nice guy, but he just has a very weird way of playing tennis. He's just very, if you're about to serve, he will just stand on the service line. Service line is like the little box in between half of the court, so he would stand on there, or he'd like run across the other side of the court and then run back, or he'd like make noises, or he'd just do something to distract. Some of the time it did, most of the time it didn't. And again with that match, again I was 1 set up, I'd won the first set, I think I was 3 or 4 love up in the second set, and because I hadn't had anything to eat for dinner and I was very low on energy and very low on water, I felt like I was going to pass out, but I continued playing. I kept having little sips of my water and I had a little chocolate bar, and I was like, yeah, this is probably going to help. But then I've never felt like that before in a tennis match. I just felt like very wheezy and very thing, and he just kept saying, what are you doing, what's going on, like why are you playing so like differently? I said, mate, I've not had any dinner, like I just feel really weak. And he was just saying, oh, he had a bad back and everything, almost trying to make me feel bad for him. So again, it's that mentality of, oh, I felt bad for him. Was it my body deciding to actually then play weaker? Or was it just genuinely just how I felt? So again, I ended up losing that second set. Tiebreak, ended up just giving that away basically. I think I won a few points here and there, like a few little smashes or a few little drop shots, but I've just known that basically I cannot play any matches when I finish work. I have to have had food or a good night's sleep, or no alcohol, which is why I'm not drinking anymore, because I feel like I want to try and get back into tennis and matches and competitions and things like that a lot more, because I didn't really have time because of my last job, and I don't really have much time because of my new job. But I feel like the weekends, I can play a couple of fun matches, and if I do eventually have enough time, then I can join leagues and things like that again. But yeah, I think that's the thing as well. There are different types of leagues in all the different competitions, whether it's fun, for leisure, or for competitive. You've got singles, so men against men, women against women. You've got doubles, so 2 men against 2 women, and 2 men against 2 men, or 2 women against 2 women. And then you've got mixed doubles, which is a man and a woman against a man and a woman. So yeah, you've got singles, you mixed, and you mixed doubles. So I think if I was to re-compete, I'd probably just do singles, because then I'm relying on myself, don't have to worry about anybody else. And don't have to get 4 people organised for a match, you only have to get 2. So that'll be nice and easy. So yeah, that'll probably be something that I will think about, if not this side of 2024 or 2025, the other side into 2026. What does a let mean in tennis? I think this is quite interesting as well. So a let is when the server serves and it kind of touches the net, however much or however little, because it's almost like you're letting that ball go over the net, and it either shouldn't have gone over the net, or it didn't clear the net basically. So again, if the ball lands within the service box, a second serve is given. If it lands outside of the box, it's counted as an attempt. There's no service in college tennis, and if a ball from a nearby court comes onto a court, or if there's a loud noise that disrupts play, you can call that as a let. or you just shout ball on court, and then again you basically do those 2 serves again. But like I said, yeah, it's mainly if the ball goes over the net, touches the net, or clips the net or whatever, and goes in, you do that as a let. If the ball goes out, that's obviously first serve attempt, and then you get 1 more. Or if there's like a loud noise, ball on the court, person on the court, or a bird, or if there's something that distracts the play for whatever reason, you can then play those 2 shots, depending on, as long as everyone else on the court is happy with that option. Somebody's asked what tennis string they should use. I don't really know. I think that's one of the things I don't really know about tennis, in terms of what type of strings that you use. Every so often I will get my string restrung, but I don't have a particular number. In terms of the weight of the racket as well, again, it completely depends on yourself. I feel like if you're a bigger person, you don't want a really light racket, because you might touch the ball and it will go flying. Whereas completely the opposite, if you're really short or quite small or quite thin, you don't want to have a really heavy racket, because you'll tap the ball won't go anywhere. You'll have to put so much force into the racket that you'll be wasting so much energy on every single shot. So I think average build, average size racket. If you're smaller, probably a lighter racket, and if you're taller or thicker or bigger, probably a more heavy racket, so that you can just put that force onto the racket. And then we had how much does it cost to play tennis? Again, that's up to personal preference. So you could have cheap shoes, cheap racket, which you may have to continuously keep changing and upgrading, or you can have kind of like average ones which get you by, and then obviously you can just adapt and change them as and how. So for example, my rackets, I've got a Slazenger racket and I've got a Head racket, so 2 completely different brands, 2 completely different rackets. One's got more like thick strings, and the other one's got more like thin plasticky strings, but they're both very like bouncy rackets. One's quite hits the ball hard, one more just like bounces the ball off of the racket. And then in terms of shoes, I've just got fake black and grey Yeezys that I won online somewhere. So yeah, in terms of that, I don't really spend too much money on shoes or racket or anything like that, or my sports gear. This is a tennis top, but it's just like a plain red t-shirt with a collar. So I've obviously got ones with collars and without, but it just depends on the moment. If it's summer, if it's hot, I would want a collarless top. If it's kind of winter, a little bit chilly, I'm not going to get hot. I just want to make sure that I'm still cool. I've got t-shirts like this that have that kind of cool material. So it just kind of depends on the weather, really. So either a t-shirt with a collar but like breathable material, or a collarless kind of like sports thin top. So there's all different types. And then obviously shorts, or like thick shorts, or like underpant looking shorts, 3/4 lengths, and I've obviously got jogging bottoms if it's ever cold or if it's winter or things like that, ones that you can like unzip at the bottom. So I think in terms of your sports outfit and attire, it doesn't really matter what you wear. I know professionally they wear like the whites, but obviously if you're playing fun or non-competitive, as long as it's comfortable, as long as you kind of look smart, that's kind of all that matters really, and that you're comfortable, because you have to be comfortable, because otherwise you won't enjoy playing the game. And then the final thing, it's not really a question, but it says tennis at home. I'd absolutely love to play tennis at home. I think if I could buy a little mini tennis court and have like a little tennis racket that I could play at home, I would do, because I think that would be quite cute, having like little rackets, little balls, having a little net, having a little like point scorer, or a little chair for the umpire. So I think, yeah, I'm sure there's something like that out there. So I think that for me would be a very good gift, whether to use it or to just have it as like an ornament. But yeah, I mean, one day, who says there's no chance of being able to get a tennis court in a house or a garden or something? If I was to, I would have it under under a roof, so the entire walls, roof, ceiling, everything like that, to one, be soundproof, and two, to not have balls go flying into people's gardens, as opposed to just like an open court in a park. And it'd be a private space as well. I'd want to have that private space to myself. Potentially could do tennis lessons from the comfort of my own home. That's just something that's going through my mind as well. Like, imagine having an outdoor court which is technically indoors, and instead of me having to go to people can come to me, free parking, parents can come and watch, and I can teach people how to play tennis, because I'll have continued me playing tennis into my 30s and 40s. So that's just a dream, but it's an amazing idea. Similar to music, similar to content, similar to public speaking. Like, yeah, there's just a lot of things that I enjoy doing. So I think just tennis is one of those number one things and hobbies that I was kind of pushed into when I was younger. I started with short tennis with a guy called Alex. He kind of had long brown hair, and you know, I started doing that and then realised that tennis was actually an interesting sport. Had my coaches along the way, joined 3 different tennis clubs. Dad paid for those, so thanks Dad. And then yeah, ended up competing, doing tennis matches. I won a summer camp, so there's about 90 people involved with that. I won that tennis tournament at one of my clubs in London, and then yeah, obviously moved out of London, and yeah, I'm now playing competitively, semi-competitively, and also for fun as well. So yeah, and then also when I went to Nottingham, I didn't really have a club or anything, but every so often I play tennis with Sophia. We played a couple of times. So yeah, it was just nice to just explore different ways of playing tennis. So yeah, that's kind of all about me. So yeah, for those of you that didn't realise, I am an avid tennis player. I actively try and play as much as I can. I've also got a running machine at home now as well. So if I don't go out because of the weather being bad or it raining, or you know, we end up having another lockdown for whatever reason, I've got my running machine and there's no excuse for me not to work out. So yeah, and that's kind of what I'm looking for in terms of like a future partner, someone that enjoys sports and, you know, games and gaming and things like that. So if you're out there, drop me a DM, and I'd love to meet you one day. But yeah, if you did enjoy my review, don't forget to like, comment, share and subscribe. Until my next review, thank you for watching, and yeah, if you have any other questions relating to tennis or any other content you'd like to see from me, then drop a message or a comment in the below, or drop me a message on Instagram, and I'm sure I'll look at that at some point. But yeah, if you did enjoy, don't forget to support my channel, or all my channels, and I will see you for another video very time soon. I will see you for another video soon. I don't know what I just said, but whatever I said before didn't make sense. Anyway, have a lovely evening, day, morning, afternoon, and goodbye.